All right. Hi, guys. Hi. All right, we'll get your attention. All right, so today we're going to talk about social media and branding. My name is Clarama, as most of you guys know. I'm going to give you my backstory, but I'm kind of not too far, I'm kind of where you guys are at right now, last year. So this is kind of what it would look like if you apply all the stuff that you learned throughout this course and you stay at what you want to do. A lot can happen within a year. So today I'm going to introduce you to social media branding, and it's basically how to use social media to your advantage for whether you have a business, whether you are just trying to advertise yourself as an employee, and also how to attract customers or community or following, just how to engage people into whatever cause that you are doing. So how many people are comfortable with social media? How many people? How many people use Twitter? Okay, regularly. How many people Facebook? Right. Has anybody used Facebook or Twitter for your business or for a business class? Nothing. Anybody use it?
I used to, but just for career and just too funny, too much.
Too much. Okay. All right. So that's So I think with this today, it's going to be kind of a 101, but we're looking to having more hands-on courses in the next month, just to get people more familiar with it. When you know how to use it, it's like the best thing ever. Okay, so let me give you a little bit about me. So I'm from San Jose, California. That's this boring-looking city. 10th largest city in America. It's very tech-ish, which is kind of explains my identity. It's very tech-ish, San Jose, California. Oh, it's the 10th largest city in America. Yeah. Really boring if you're in your young 20s, but if you like tech, then it's a good place to be. I kind of am a woman with many passions / I like everything, and therefore in my life I think an example would be, I think in layman terms, would be trial and error and to try to find my career. So I love traveling, I love just doing anything active sports. When I was in high school, I was on the drama team, I did dance, I did step, I wrote plays, I was leadership of clubs, like varsity clubs of leadership in general, the student body. When I was in college, the same thing, pretty much on a college level scale. Worked all kinds of part-time jobs, worked at an ice cream shop making cakes, worked at an amusement park, movie theaters, you name it. I love painting, so clearly I have a creative side. So I was doing that for a while, like as a side hobby thing. I love traveling. I served as the city. I knew I loved leadership, so I got an opportunity to serve as on the commission for the city of San Jose, where we advised the mayor on housing and community development issues. I did a lot of work in public policy as a community organizer, helping people or growing our advocates to help support affordable housing by basically rounding them up, putting them into different groups where they can learn about affordable housing and urban development, and then getting them to speak for us at court cases or court council meetings for the city when they're trying to build development. But there was a lot of Tea Partiers, people who didn't want affordable housing in the area for really ignorant reasons. But so in doing all that, I gained a lot of skills in learning how to engage communities of all diverse backgrounds. I did this kind of work in DC, I did this kind of work in New York City, and a lot of it in Silicon Valley, especially in representation for local government and for tech companies. I kind of had a little bit of a revelation doing that work in 2012. I'm 28 years old right now. But when I was 26, I was doing that for a year and a half, and as much as I really felt like I was making a difference and I really enjoyed it, the structure of the 9 to 5 was really hard for me. The not being able to really take advantage of my creative skills so much, just because I was always working for institutions that things had to be a certain way, especially when it was kind of corporate. You had to dress a certain way, you had to do a certain thing. You didn't really get to have your own opinion, your own mind in terms of the work that I was doing. And that was really hindering for me. So I kind of took a break. I quit my job and I just traveled. And that's something that I've always wanted to do too, but I knew that if I continued the path that I was in my work, I wouldn't be able to travel. If you guys are lucky here in the UK, you have like a standard of like 28 days for paid work vacation, which is like amazing. In America, it's 10 days. So, and that doesn't get any larger after that, but no matter how long you work. But so I was like, okay, I did the crazy thing, and I like left, and I backpacked to Europe for a few months, and I got to really know myself, and I realized, like, you know what, I really love being creative. I love drawing, I love painting. I know it's not a lucrative career, and I can't really make too much money, but like, epic, I'm just gonna just follow my passion and do it. Moved to New York City, which was a great city to be in if you're just kind of starting all over. And I met a graphic designer, and she told me about I basically watched what she's doing, and I got this really peaceful feeling. I was watching her like literally design stuff, and so I started asking her about it. And I was like, what is this? And she's like, oh, this is called graphic design. And I was like, well, she was like, she's making all the flyers and all the stuff for the nonprofit that I was working at. And I was like, whoa, I love that part of my job, but I didn't think that that's what you could only do entirely. And she was like, yeah, it is, and it's also one of those jobs where you don't have to be in an office to work. She can work from home. She can work in a different country because all she needs is a computer and an email to be able to communicate back and forth. And that to me was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so beautiful. So I asked her, what do I need to do? Like, this is all last year, the beginning of last year. What do I need to learn? I can use art and make money off of it, and it's a lucrative career. So she told me I had to learn Photoshop, Illustrator. You can go to, there's a lot of different courses that you can take for schooling for this, but also there's a lot of online resources for free or for like super cheap that you can take advantage of. I learned coding online for $15, but I had to make it a point to do that. Like, you have to have self-discipline. Otherwise, you can do it in an institution where they teach you this stuff for 3 months, but it's usually thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'll tell you about the different resources that you can use to learn on your own free time, on your own schedule. But I ended up quitting that 9-to-5 job and worked at a restaurant for 3 days, and then spent all the rest of the week, literally morning to night, learning coding, learning all the software programs, using that Skillshare site. So now, so after that, while I was doing all that stuff, I was also using social media. I started Instagram. I started to blog about my experiences in learning all these different things, and I used Twitter. And I started getting a following, and I would just tweet about, like, oh, here's some resources that I found. Every single resource that I used or article that I read to help me be a better graphic designer or developer, I tweeted it out, I blogged about it, blogged about my experiences, and I ended up meeting, I ended up connecting with some of the people who hired me for an internship. So I got my first design internship with a studio in Southern California while I was in New York, which I'll talk about later. And now I work for Issa Rae of Awkward Black Girl. Does anybody know Awkward Black Girl? No. Only Effie? Okay, so it was a really, really popular program in America. The woman now who started this, she was a YouTube hit and became like a really popular series. And now she's working, she's getting her own HBO show. Do you guys know Pharrell?
Yes.
Okay. So he's our executive producer. He put all her videos on his channel, on his YouTube channel, because he loves what she's doing too. So anyway, I got really lucky, and through Facebook, a friend of mine connected me to her, and they were looking for somebody who knew HTML and CSS, and I got to, I stalked her via Twitter, via her website, via Facebook, and I was like, you have to hire me, I want this job. And I was able to get it that way. So social media not only helps you get customers or build your community, but you can also find opportunities to work, you can find opportunities for getting experiences, and you can also just find expertise and connect with other people as well. So, okay. So this is kind of what I do now. Now I'm a freelance graphic designer, website development, certified professional coach, do social media marketing strategy, and branding. And I did this all, learning all this stuff as on my own for the last year. What is social media? Okay, so this is kind of boring stuff, but basically, in short, I mean, we kind of already talked about it over the last few weeks, but offline, you can do it the traditional route, which is the business cards, the flyers, the word of mouth, networking, exhibiting. But you have to think about it this way. The benefits of social media is that it kind of removes all that legwork that you'll have to do for that. Think of it, I like to think of it as instead of fishing with a rod and a boat, hoping to catch one fish. You know, when you go fishing, you go on a boat, you can be there for hours before you kind of catch a fish. It's kind of like traditional marketing. versus social media marketing, which is more like you get on a boat, throw a whole net out there. You can get about 200, 300 fish. Maybe 50 of them will be good. And that's kind of that's how social marketing works. It's the most efficient way to get your business out there online, to attract customers with minimal effort compared to having to go to all these events, having to meet people, talk to people. You don't know if they're interested or not. You just have to be able to know how to use it. And if you don't know how to use it, it could be the most annoying thing ever. But once you do, which I hope you'll get a better idea after this class, you'll feel more comfortable doing that. So, SEO. So SEO, search engine optimization. I think a lot of you guys knew this, but I'm going to talk about it in a few slides later. But this is also a good way, probably the best way to get your website noticed and what you want to have really high when basically somebody searches something on the search engine, they say they're looking for HERA. Or they don't know about HERA, but they want to look for a nonprofit that helps women become entrepreneurs. If we have women entrepreneurs, nonprofit, and all over our website, the search engine will be able to pick that up. And when they search those words, HERA might come up on the Google search engine, and that's how they get access to it. I'll go into it deeper in a few slides, but now I'm going to make you guys watch. I think it's kind of a cool video.
Does your business feel like an island sometimes? Like you're trying to figure things out, stay connected to your customers, the community, and the rest of the world all on your own? You know you need to find a way to connect with your customers when you're not face-to-face, but there's one of you and hundreds, thousands, or millions of them. Enter social media. It's changing the way people connect with each other. You know that your happy customers have always been your recipe for success. When they like you, they tell other people. Social media is really nothing more than people talking to other people. Every time they say something, it can be heard by dozens, even hundreds, who might be interested in what you're doing. Constant Contact is all about helping small businesses, and that's why we created this social media quick start. It puts all of the important information you need together in one place, an organized, step-by-step guidance, so you can get going today.
So that's kind of a good way for Constant Contact to also build their client base, because now you're like, oh, that's cool. They helped me out figure out what social media is. Maybe I'll use them when I get started for my new marketing or something, which is another thing we'll talk about. So who's using it? 72% of all internet users are now active on social media. So I know Facebook alone has 2 million users. So 72%, 2 billion. Yeah. So 72% of 2 billion people is a lot. That's a lot of market to get out to for that you can reach out to. The age group with the most usage, 89%, is in between the ages of 18 to 29. 72% in between the ages of 30 and 49. 60% of 50 to 60-year-olds are on it. And 65 plus, 1 in 2 people that are over the age of 65 are using social media. I don't know if a lot of people might think, oh, it's just social media is more for young people. It's not, if I want to market myself towards older people, social media is not it. That's not true anymore. Like now everybody's on it. And something else to think about is 71% of users access social media from the mobile phone. Pretty much still almost everybody. So you want to make sure that whatever you put out there is also viewable on a mobile device. So what does this mean for your business? So here's a great statistic thing that talks about, so 74% of consumers rely on social media to influence their purchasing decisions. 81% of consumers are influenced by their friends' posts on social media when making purchasing decisions. So, what does that say? What does that tell you? If you want to social media is a big influence on whether someone's going to buy your product. So you want to make sure that to maximize the amount of people to purchase your product, you want to make sure you're online. And since most of those people trust their friends, you want to make sure people are sharing your product. Fortunately, social media also makes it very easy for people to share your stuff, but you also have to have quality things to share. Does that make sense? So, I guess I don't think we're looking at it too much, but so 78% of US social network in your business. So USA, Americans use social media 4.4 hours a day. Globally, it's about 3.6 hours a day. Probably means that you should probably be, your business should be on that just as much as those your consumers are. So social marketing budgets are going to double over the next 5 years. Emails with social sharing buttons increase. Videos on your website, on the landing page, which is the first page of your website, increase your conversions. And conversions is basically if somebody goes on your website, that's just somebody who viewed your website. If somebody sends you a message or contacts you via a contact form on your website or says, hey, I'm willing to subscribe, that's a conversion. So any time somebody goes on your website, goes on your Twitter, goes on your social media site, if you can get them to act by giving them information on their behalf so you can reach them, it's a conversion, which is exactly what you want. So yeah, 64% of organizations with social customer service say investing in online communities is very important. However, a lot of companies miss or mishandle up to 80% of customer engagement opportunities. So this might have been kind of what you were dealing with a little bit. Maybe there was a lot of confusion, and so maybe that's somebody that could have been an opportunity. They lost it because, or not that you lost it, but it went away because there wasn't a way to, you weren't familiar with how to communicate. This is very normal. So usually what a lot of companies do, well, they'll hire a social media consultant or somebody who has expertise in the field to give them advice. Otherwise, if you've kind of been on it for a long time, you can just kind of use your intuition also. But I'll teach you some ways also to help engage as well. So pick up your customer. So yeah, 97% of all consumers search for local businesses online. Really, really good. Especially if your target market is locally, that's really, really want to be online. So yeah, so this will be shared with you guys later, but there's a lot of really good tips, basically, and we want to be online. So how it makes a difference, I won't beat the dead horse too much, but basically the reason why social media is also really effective is when you're constantly, you have Google followers, and you're constantly posting on a daily basis, even if they're not looking for you, they see your name on the newsfeed, it keeps your name fresh. So for example, if I follow McDonald's, or even if I'm not following McDonald's, it's paid ad for McDonald's, and you know how commercials work. And I'm constantly seeing it, even if I don't go on their page, I'm just seeing their name. The next time I'm hungry and I see a McDonald's, I'm probably gonna go. Or or probably just gonna go, what do I want to eat? And I don't want to make a decision because my brain is tired. I'm probably gonna do that. So it's a good thing to stay relevant online as much as possible. So SEO, yeah, you're easier to discover because, like you said, 97% of consumers look for businesses online. It maximizes your time on efforts to build your business. So because you don't have to always go to events, because you don't have to waste your energy trying to convince people who may or may not be interested, you can just send a tweet every few hours about an article that you're interested in that's related to your service and continue helping raising your kids or traveling or doing whatever you need to do. You can basically run a whole social media campaign via your cell phone for a few seconds all throughout the day. Yeah, it's much more easy for people to spread the word about you. So we saw that I think it's like 80% of people are more willing to look at your business wherever it's shared. So here's an example of how a business used. This is an example of how a business used social media. All right, so SEO. We'll just talk about SEO. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, so it'll get interesting, I promise, pretty soon. We'll get into some SEO, search engine optimization, talked about a little bit. How do you increase your SEO? So if you have a website, this is mainly what that will be affected towards. It's how you want people to be able to search you and find your website easily. How many of you guys are planning on getting a website for what you do for your business? Okay, cool. Does anybody starting in this, how about for yourselves as individuals? How many are looking to, how many people, 1%? Okay, cool. So they're projecting within, I think, 25 years, 40% of the employee market is going to be freelance, which means a lot of people are going to be starting their own businesses from home or doing exactly what I'm doing, where they're not really tied to an institution. They're just kind of putting themselves out there and hoping somebody gives them a job. And a lot of companies are actually preferring to pay contracts or looking for freelancers to work with rather than having to buy a full staff person for a project that they may not need all year round. So this kind of market is growing for that. So even if you're not planning to put something up for your business, for yourself, it's always a good idea just to have an online portfolio of, even if it's just your resume and just your name and what services you're doing. It's actually becoming more and more popular for people to do that. So for example, well, mine's not my personal, but in any case, so you want to make sure anytime you do start a website, and SEO is Google's way of protecting its credibility. Us as consumers, when we use Google, we want to make sure that when we find information, it's really, we just want to get the information really quick, right? Just putting in a few words and hoping that it's in the top 3. So by having an SEO in place, Google can ensure that whatever is out there on the internet is actually what it says it's going to be and will actually be valuable for the person looking for it. Does that make sense? So all you have to do is make sure that your information is real, it's valuable, and it's actually, it's of quality. And Google has realized that the way that they can determine this is the links that you have on your website, what you're linking to. If you're linking to Twitter, if you're linking to other, like Forbes magazine, if you're linking to a really credible website, it makes your website look good. Almost as if like you're just meeting a person and you don't know who they are, but their best friend is Oprah Winfrey. You're gonna think, okay, there's somebody important. That's exactly what makes a website does. Your content. You want to make sure that your content is relevant to what you're doing and what you're selling. And so, for example, if I put women entrepreneurs in the Google search and I want to look for HERA, hopefully in all our blogs and all our writing on the website is going to say woman entrepreneur several million different times, right? So that means that when I find HERA, I'm going to be excited about, okay, I found exactly what I was looking for. Versus somebody that says, oh, yeah, I help women entrepreneurs, but your website is all about your traveling or your personal stuff. And so it doesn't have anything on there. Anybody who's looking for women entrepreneurs sees your website, clicks on it, and sees that it's not relevant to what they're looking for, is going to leave. And Google records that. They see how long somebody stays on your page after searching for you. And if they see that that person is constantly, or anybody is actually leaving really fast from your website, they'll think it's not relevant to what the keywords key search terms are, and they'll push your SEO way down. So you're not going to get discoverable. So it's really important that whatever you're selling, you put those keywords, you identify the keyword that is you're actually putting out there, and putting it on your website accordingly. And social media, because everybody's using social media, the more people that find your website through your social media channels and your tools is going to also up your SEO. Google's going to think, okay, this person's credible, people are finding her, or him, or you guys her, through the tools, and they're going to their website, so there's some linkage that proves that this website is also good. So altogether, you have writing a virtuous cycle of writing great content that Google is proud to push, to encourage for people who are looking for it to discover. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any questions about SEO? I know it's like really hard to explain. Yeah. Okay, you can if you want to. They have options for like if you want to. So for example, so if you go to google.com, let's say I search London entrepreneurs. Usually we have, I don't know, if you, when you guys use Google, do you sometimes see paid ads on the side?
Yeah.
Okay, that's basically what you're paying for if you do want to upgrade SEO. However, like I think the percentage of people who actually ever click, how many of you guys ever clicked on an ad on the side? What? Oh, really? Okay. Well, it's actually really, really low percentage. I think it's like less than 2% or something like that actually click on it. So it's actually more helpful for you to actually just do all the right things on your website, and people are like 80% or something like that more likely to click on something here versus here. Any other questions regarding this?
So if you advertise on Google,
Yeah.
is it inexpensive? I mean, is it expensive?
No, it's not expensive. They have different options. So you can do something called a pay-per-click, which is basically you don't pay anything for them to show your name on the side. However, if somebody clicks on it, then you pay whatever their asking price is. I know on Facebook they do the exact same thing. You can tailor it to your market. You can say, I want my ad shown to this demographic of people who are interested in this X, Y, and Z. And you can say they ask you what's your budget for the day. But I want to spend more than $5 a day, £5 a day. Then they'll set it for that, and they'll put it up there, and they'll say they'll charge you 30 cents per click. So they'll let you. So you only get charged when somebody clicks on your ad. Does that make sense? Which is actually a nice alternative versus to just put it up there and if nobody clicks on it, you don't have to pay. Yeah. And then actually sometimes what you would want to do is just make it a really engaging icon. Well, hopefully nobody clicks on it, but even just seeing your name on the side is like a really good. It's just cool, you know. It's fun. But yeah, so that's Oh, and if you're a charity, Google actually sponsors you to have free ad space on the site. So I think it's kind of a good process. So. Any other questions? So common social media terms. Online presence. Can somebody tell me what online presence is?
When you constantly keep updates.
Okay, almost, yeah. That's what you do to have a good online presence, yeah. So online presence is basically what you contribute to the online market, what your whole presence is on the internet. Branding and personal branding. How would you guys describe that?
Reception.
What is it?
Reception.
Reception? Okay, that's one thing, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Facebook logo is part of your branding, yeah. It's a component of it, yeah.
As well as attitude, like what your business is about, your ethics,
Exactly, yeah. It's your personality, your reputation, the kind of feel that you have online. So if you are so let's think of Starbucks, what would you think that their branding is? Like, what's their feel? Like, how would you describe their feel? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you would know this about coffee. I think also too, it feels a little bit professional, kind of like you feel like you can. Yeah, it's all about coffee. Yeah, yeah. At the same time, it's very casual, but I guess that was all of them. But but you get what I'm saying. I think. Well, I'll give you my other examples later. Social media tools. What do I mean by social media tools? What is that? Like Twitter, yeah. Twitter, yeah. Yeah. I said that in the first computer. So basically, yeah, it's a social networks. It's all the millions of different types of social networks that are out there. They're all free, and they're the best way to engage and build your following or community or attract customers. So the people who are not familiar with Twitter, raise your hands who are not familiar with Twitter. Whoa, wow. Oh, okay. So I never got to do a Twitter workshop. I'm not going to get too into the details, but when you hear people say, "Oh, I tweeted something," a tweet is a post. Somebody writes something. So I'll use again. I'll go to HERA Twitter page. as an example. By the way, if you have Twitter, follow us. So, if you see, all these are posts. Or these are tweets, sorry. It's just basically you posted something, some information, a picture, and retweet is another word, and that means, so you see retweeted by HERA, that means Rahul, who you guys saw present, I think it was yesterday, he posted something on his own page. And so we saw that, we're like, okay, hey, that's cool. He shared something about us to his friends, his 54 followers. He could use a social media consultant. We saw that, like, oh, cool, somebody posted about it. And so we retweeted it on our own page. And to showcase to our followers, look, somebody else liked one of our tweets, is supportive of us, and that makes us look good to our followers. We just started building a month ago, but I think when we started, we activated Twitter, we had 108 followers, and it's been about a month and a half, and we've gotten it up to 260, which is great. Cool. And that's all simply because we've been tweeting a lot. Do you guys get the idea of what tweeting is? Mm-hmm. You've been posting every day, several times a day, and you've been using hashtags. So how many have heard hashtags and don't even know what that is? You did. Never heard of it? Okay, cool. So this is beautiful, like the best invention ever. So basically when you write, okay, somebody wrote a great article, I thought, and I posted it, I shared the article, how I tell them I said trafficking story. So what I did was I hashtag trafficking and a hashtag survivor. So again, with like the 80% of people who are using Twitter, if they're interested in trafficking and interested in survivor, a lot of times they might want to, or survivors, and they want to read something on the topic or look for information on it, they'll put in here, survivor. I'm gonna see some information about survivors. And everybody that posts about survivors will, they can see all their tweets. Okay, cool. Cool. And also, hopefully, I think we posted this a few days ago, so I think we'll probably like 1,000 tweets then that we put the hashtag survivor. But in that moment, when we hashtag survivor, whoever was looking for survivor will see our post on this feed and would maybe favorite it. Or I think for that tweet, we did get a couple of favorites. So we got 2 people who retweeted it from us. That means 2 other people who saw it that actually weren't our followers and shared it, but they found us through the hashtag. We had 1 person who was a follower favorite it. That means she was basically letting us know that she liked it, and she types it in her records anytime she wants to look back at it again. Does that make sense? And that's what you want. That's called engagement. That's the engagement that you want from people who are interested in your stuff or just to grow. But if you see that, I think after that, you've gotten new followers because they say, hey, that's a great article, that's something I want to be supportive of. What is this information? What are they about? And they might end up going to our website, which is listed on here, and checking us out from there. And that's stuff that you want to encourage. So that's for, and then, yeah, so I think that's the basic stuff. You don't really need to know. The @XYZ is basically how we call somebody out. So it's basically saying, hey, Rahul, @Rahul, whatever his name is, you see this article. That's how you would speak to him using Twitter. Facebook, very similar. It's it's actually a lot more easier to likes, post, share, friends, statuses. I don't think that really is explained because it didn't want to go over Facebook. No. Okay. Instagram, same thing. So you want to go, okay. So Instagram is also very similar. It's likes, yeah, repost. You can't actually really repost on Instagram. That's made for that. Yeah, it's you post a lot of pictures on it. Yeah, but you can't really post. But you can get an app like this, always repost or something, and that you can post if you want to. But yeah, this
So if you spend so many much time doing other things, how do you often time to do something else?
I know, it sounds really overwhelming. Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, I know that it's my idea that it's in your life.
Yes. No, and you're 100% like right. That's everybody for that. Even for me that I do it, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna kill myself. It does. It gets very, very time consuming. But you factor it in as if like you're factoring in to go into somewhere to tell people about your business, to tell people about something. And you don't do. I'm going over all of it right now. Don't you even think about using all of it at the same time. You are going to drive yourself crazy if you're trying to do that inside your business. I'm going to go over some suggestions, like strategies later, on how to like start small and where to start to make it very easy for you, where it feels like you're not really doing anything, and you're just going to grow on it from later. But don't think about doing all this all at once. Just think about this is different portals, just get an idea of how it works. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Okay, let's go to Beyonce's Instagram. She's actually one of my contest? Okay. You know her? Okay, do you want to do it? Yeah. So this is. Do you guys remember Promise? She was on this. Sorry, I'm gonna get your attention again. I know it's really lightning stuff. So do you guys remember Promise? She did the student alumni panel. She was a very fashionable one. So she did the entrepreneur. Take it. People. Yeah, you guys remember the student panel? You had the three girls, the program, and then there was the one in the middle. Okay, so here's her picture. So anyway, so she, since last year, she was always interested in fashion design. And so she's started to promote herself using her social media channel. So we've been helping cross-promoting. But this is the stuff that she's been posting on her Instagram. And this is attracting people to her business. They're going to see, oh my gosh, that fashion is cool. You see it. She has been actually 250 followers, but you see, I think she's using hashtags, which could be a reason why it shouldn't have much more. Oh, here we go. So do you see how this one has probably a little bit 33 likes, and then what do you have to say about? But you're going to get more people to like it or just engage with you when you use hashtags. So yeah, I think it looks like she's posting it almost every day. She's posting something every few days. It's cool. She's only, yeah, so that's really good. She's averaging like a new follower every post, which is not too bad. Yes, do you guys have any more questions about Instagram? Or,
It just looks like pictures.
yeah,
It's not
that's what it
pictures.
is. That's literally what it is. Instagram doing pictures.
I feel old.
You can do one comment. But this is the reason why, okay, Instagram is really good if you have a design kind of based company. If you want to promote clothes, that's what she's doing. You need the visual for it, and that's really all that's going to speak for itself. If you're a makeup artist, yeah, products.
Photography,
Huh?
pictures, photography.
Yes, photography, exactly. Modeling, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you gotta, of course, it's depending on what you're doing professionally. If, let's say, you work for a very professional, conservative, or traditional type of office space, you might want to make sure you either hide your name, make sure not to use the same name, or don't really put your professional life on your Instagram unless it is your profession. Does that make sense? So for she's doing fashion design, she can do this stuff because it's fashion. In the fashion world, this is fine. If she was a human rights lawyer, this might not do well for her credibility. When somebody's searching her and they want to see how well of a lawyer before they hire her, this might not be something that will sell them. You know, so you want to think about your market, which we'll also do. Let's do. Yeah, I guess you can. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it just gives you a
What
lawyer
about that
using
sunbird
Instagram.
lady that we just had about?
Okay, so yeah, and this is obviously this is a program that's primarily supposed to be used on your phone, not really for the web. This is just kind of like just if you really have to Instagram, then use the website. So you have really limited options on here. So here I don't really have the option to search something like I would on my phone. So unfortunately, I can't show you something. Let me try, let's say, Instagram, professional. Well, let's say Obama's Instagram. Yeah. I love to have Instagram. Okay, so as you can see, it's very presidential stuff. Yes, we keep it classy. Lots of red, white, and blue, definitely there's things going on. Definitely see a lot more papers, everything's kind of related to America. The filters, you can see the different colors on them, for the filters that makes it look a little bit more cool. Yeah, no really like clothing things so much. Just some personal stuff, but again, it's more romantic than anything. Yeah. He's fully clothed on most of this stuff.
Most of them?
And I'm sure he has a personal one that's like hidden. But, so yeah, so just keep it professional. Like, this is obviously his professional use. It's not his personal real use. This is more so for the people who are following him. I doubt he has actually about him. And you see he uses pictures of like dogs and stuff. This is to make us like him. You know, it humanizes him as a president, and that's a lot of it.
Is that realistic? 3 million something more than followers.
Yeah. Oh, very realistic if you're the president. He has a really, really good social media strategist. Huh? Beyonce. All right, we'll talk about it. But okay, I need to know. So yeah, that's Instagram, and then obviously LinkedIn is going to be super. None of this stuff. You barely are able to use pictures. Let me see if I can actually. Let's see if I can find how to use it. Let's see that. So you can see his profile page. There's no room for pictures. It's all about his credentials, his overview. What has he done? What is he currently doing? What he's been through, whatever. Give a little summary about him, views of American people. Remind them that while I wrote 1905, while I was doing my room walk, you have to focus on that, you apply all your actions, oh, that just makes you look smart, right?
Memorize that.
And I love this book too because I think it's good because it addresses anybody who might be skeptical about him. That book kind of like tells you, yes, you do have problems, but you have hope or something, you know? It's kind of a strategic book.
Sounds like you memorized it.
Yeah. Oh, but so yeah, so very plain. And of course, the links to his website. All your social media tools to your website. And on your website, we'll talk about the advantages of having a website versus social media. Okay. All right. So next, this topic. Unless you guys have any more questions about that. Yeah, so how do you use social media? Okay, so I'm going to try to help, just watch this video actually. All right, so this is a video of a woman who had a small business and she decided to see what social media is about. And this is her, like, 2-minute video, but you see the impact it's having. Do you guys want it louder? Yeah.
We decided to ramp up our social media programs here at Red Oak Apartment Homes about a year ago. During that time, we were launching a brand new state-of-the-art website that has become the hub of all of our communications with our customers. We realized that we needed to have a presence on Facebook. We needed a presence on Twitter. We needed a presence on Foursquare. And we needed a very strong presence in an email marketing campaign. And we chose Constant Contact. Social media, I think, must be an integrated process. We are posting to Facebook every single day, at least once a day. And we send that feed into our Twitter account. And we find that by keeping us in the loop of the social media, that it's keeping our name in front of our customers. I mean, one thing I really love about Constant Contact is that I am able to have a link to my Facebook page, to my website, and to my other social media sites right on my email marketing contacts that I'm sending out. And that's fantastic because then I'm doing that crossover. People who see me on Constant Contact can also see me on all my social media sites. And I really like that. Here at Red Oak, we do not want to have our social media be just simply a series of sales pitches. And so what we've decided to do is use what we call the Red Oak Life as our mantra. And all of our social media communications right now are talking about what is life like here in Manchester, New Hampshire. And so we're talking about events that are happening at the Verizon Arena. We're talking about the country fairs that are here locally, the farmers market, you know, nightclubs and comedy clubs and activities like that for families and young professionals. And then this way our customers begin to trust us. They see that we are the go-to place for information about what's happening here in Manchester and the surrounding area. And so they will then hopefully embrace the idea of the Red Oak Life, and they will want to live in one of our apartments.
So that pretty much sums up. And did you see how she said she linked the Facebook to the Twitter?
Yeah.
So that means she's not really posting on both different things. She's posting on Facebook, which automatically updates and posts on Twitter. So she's kind of killing 3 birds with one stone. Like, if you can do that. There's a program called Hootsuite, which I'll show you later also. But it basically takes all your social media things. If you have a Google page, if you have Facebook, if you have Twitter, and you can basically just update, just post, pre-schedule posts, and it'll update it on different tools for you all throughout the day. All you have to do is just set it up. Take 20 minutes to set it up. Really don't have to think about it after that. So let's start using, like, so she used social media very strategically. She thought about it. So I think let's try to exercise how we can think about social media using HERA as an example. This is going to give you some ideas. So let's start thinking about, okay, for HERA, if we're going to start building a social marketing campaign around HERA, what is are we a product or are we a service? Service. Okay. So already if we're a service, then you can take out your sheets, the graph. So you see, these are the top 9 social media sites right now. Facebook being number 1, Twitter, Instagram, WordPress, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Foursquare. They all serve different things. They all do different things. And depending on what kind of business or product or service that you're offering, one's going to be better for you than the other. So Facebook is the primary way I think most people get to buy a product. Why would you say Facebook is the best to do so? Because who uses Facebook? And anybody that uses Facebook can answer these questions. But would you say, if you post something on Facebook, do you think it's very visible? Yeah. Why is that? Like, you don't have to put in effort. You put in a post. What is it that makes it very visible? That too, yeah. And also there's a news feed that's promoted for you. Yeah. Shareability. Is it easy to share on Facebook? Yeah. Information and readability. So can you put a lot of information on a Facebook post? There's no limit, right? And it's readable. Like, you kind of want to read. You don't mind reading a paragraph or two on a Facebook post, right? Okay, so Facebook checks off there. Visual demonstration. Can you post a picture? Can you see a product? Yeah. You can also post videos on it. Service demonstration. Service, I think, is also a video if you want to have it. You can do that very well also on Facebook. Can you get feedback on Facebook? Yeah. I think that's also the best way to get feedback. There's also no limits on comments. And a lot of discussion. Can you just have a discussion on Facebook? Yes. Yeah. Can you connect and network with people on Facebook? Yes. Professionally and personally?
Yeah.
If you want to.
Yeah.
The ease of growing. Can you grow really fast using a Facebook page? Yeah. Okay. Would you say you can grow as fast with Twitter or Instagram? You think faster? I would say
No.
there's more people on Facebook. Most people are usually reluctant to add people, I feel like, especially with the personal profile.
Yeah.
And like,
It's a business.
the two are definitely different, but I do think professionally, it's a lot faster to grow on Twitter and Instagram. It's a click of a button. Most people don't care about. It doesn't cost them.
Usually Twitter, someone has to do.
Yeah, but when you follow, it's very, I don't know, there's something about Twitter and Instagram that's like, even if I don't know you and I don't care about you, I don't mind following you, and because I know it's less of a consequence for me. Versus Facebook, I feel like if I have to add you, I have to let you into my personal life. Like, you know, kind of thing is a little bit more like reluctant. So I wouldn't give it. You can definitely grow for sure. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but I would say probably more medium versus if you had to compare on a scale of 5. So I think covering that, I think you can very well see already why Facebook is probably the number one primary way doing business and getting business. Twitter. Would you think visibly? Do you think it's just as easy on Twitter to be found? Really? Okay. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, same thing with the newsfeed. You can also use hashtags to find people. They have that route where Facebook you don't really use a hashtag. You can't really discover something unless your friend posts it. Does that make sense? Or actually post it. Or something leads you there. Whereas Twitter, if I want to look up a subject, I can find it. Yeah? So I do think Twitter is a little bit better visible to be discovered, I guess. Yeah? Shareability. I think share would be very easy as well. Information and readability. Is it easy? Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of limiting. Yeah. So you can argue probably not. Just you can't put too much information, or you have to make it really powerful within a concise, which in itself can be a better way of communicating business. And for me to get a sense of what you're doing, and you can post articles. But yeah, if you want to give a long-winded speech or you want to talk about something for 40 characters, frustrating. Better for Facebook. Visual demonstration. Twitter now did something to compete with Facebook. Now you can post, as you can see, you can post pictures on Twitter. So that's great too. But I wouldn't say it's as comparable to Facebook. So Facebook, what's the difference between posting pictures on Facebook and Twitter? You do have to open links sometimes, yes. Also, say you have 5 pictures. You have a whole event of pictures. Yeah, several ones, which is kind of annoying. If I see like 5 tweets in a row, somebody probably would unfollow them. So a Facebook album, you have the capacity to put multiple pictures and still be not harassing, feel like you're harassing people. So yeah, and Twitter, it's a little bit harder to have discussion, but you can. Connection networking, I think, is really easy to network because you can discover people that you're looking for on there. Ease of growing, I think, is also the fastest way to grow. Again, we've been working on Twitter and Facebook. I think Facebook we've been working on it for the last month, and for the way that you post, you can't really post several times a day on Facebook without being really annoying for some reason. But on Twitter, you can post every half an hour all throughout the day, and it's not, you don't really notice it just because you have so much. So because of that, you grow faster on Twitter versus Facebook, not so much. You only post 2 or 3 things a day. Yeah. 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 Definitely. Yeah. Exactly. And again, you're on Facebook. You're only communicating to really people who are following you, not really to the general public so much unless they happen to use your URL. But on Twitter, it's even if you're just posting to people, also people can find you on publicly if you have the private profile public. Instagram. So maybe we'll just get through the top 5 just for the sake of our strategy. But I think Instagram. So do you guys want to continue to work on? Do you guys think you can work on this on your own? Or okay. Do you guys got a sense? Instagram, obviously very visible, not shareable, I would say. I'm just going to give you the answers, so make sure you're marking them, okay? This is going to be your way of figuring out your business, which top platforms to use for your business idea and or yourself. You can't really share, so no. Information readability, not really. It's more about visuals. You can only put a sentence or so. Service demonstration, definitely. You can put a 15-second video of your demonstration. Or you can put pictures of your product. This is Instagram. Yeah. If you guys want help after, you can just after this, I can pull that through. For Instagram for feedback, it is really easy to get feedback on Instagram when you post a picture, especially because Instagram you can follow strangers and it's not a big deal for some reason. It feels okay. I've met a lot of my connections via Instagram, and I know a lot of other people who met their connections through Instagram, either through interns or clients. People for some reason feel comfortable sharing photos and feel a bond with you if they see a photo that's cool. They'll say, "Oh my gosh, that's really cute," and then or something like that. And so I think interesting enough, it's really good for service demonstration, especially if you do websites or products like that. Feedback, yeah, really easy to get feedback in comments. Discussions, not so much as well as Facebook, but definitely can have discussions on there. Sentence at a time. Connection networking, easy, I think, definitely for sure. It's really fast, very easy to grow your following on Instagram. Yeah, WordPress, because how many people know what WordPress is? Okay, WordPress is absolutely amazing for blogging, and it's absolutely amazing if you're doing a service-based kind of job. So we just decided what HERA is a service-based charity, or what we do is service-based, right? If we want to connect with people, I think it's probably a good idea that we write blogs on a regular basis so they kind of get a sense of what we're doing to get to know us a little better. WordPress is the #1 way to attract people through writing really long, emotional, or quality content about what you're doing on a regular basis. So visibility, yes. Shareability, yes. You can share it with somebody, but normally only people with WordPress. Most easier. Information readability, yes. It's built for reading, and it's built to put a lot of information in. Visual demonstration, not so much. Service demonstration, kind of. I would say for stuff like the service, yeah. So you can write blogs about what you're doing. Feedback, yeah, because it allows for comments. Discussion, yes, the comment section also. Connection and networking, definitely. You follow people like you follow and stuff, or get subscribers. Ease of growing, I think it's a lot slower, but you can, yeah. It's not as fast as Twitter and Instagram, but the followers you build on there will be that much more of a quality because they're following you because they have long content. YouTube, visibility, yeah. Shareability, yeah. Information/readability. Kind of, not as much as a blog, but you can definitely make videos with words and make statements on there. Visual demonstration, sorry. Service. Yeah, I think so. You can video record somebody like what you're doing at work. Feedback. Feedback. Those are the most hilarious feedback. Discussion. Connection and networking. Yeah. I don't think so either. Yeah. So, but you said growing customers or subscribers or something? Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't able to get connections, he was able to get fans, which is the difference. He wasn't, oh, well, I see what you're saying. Usher discovered him, and that's how he became famous. You're right. That's not an everyday occurrence, obviously. That's like more of a lottery kind of a thing. But yes, you can use it to hopefully get discovered, or so I wouldn't say a complete no, but that wouldn't probably be your number one way. So, for him, what he's doing for music and for videos, yes, that's a great way to get connections. So you're right, that's true. If your work is more service-based or is not in the entertainment industry, then maybe videos, YouTube is not the best place. But you can definitely use it. Yeah. So yeah, and then LinkedIn. We'll just do LinkedIn. Visibility. Yeah. Shareability. Information and readability. Yes. Visual demonstration. Yeah. Service demonstration. I think so. It tells us what you've done. It gives us your experience. So we don't know for sure, but we know that what you've done. Feedback. No. Exactly. Discussions. No. You can have discussions via messaging. Yeah. You're right. Connections and networking. Yes. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Use of growing connections. And lastly, we'll fit Foursquare, but website. I would definitely say the reason why the website is the best thing to have and how people support it, but obviously would not be half as efficient without your supplemental social media tools, is because you have full control over what you want to communicate, how you want to communicate. You're not limited by characters. If you want to show videos on all one page, you can do that. If you want to show blogs on another page, you can control that. So website is a yes for all of them, because you can dictate how you want to communicate your services completely. You have full control. You have control over the people who follow you. You have their email. So if you have 280 people subscribing to Facebook, Facebook shuts down one day. You lose all those people that follow you. Versus if you have a website and those people decide to follow you on there, you have their information forever. So that's why it's always the most important to have a website first. So back to HERA, now that we know all this stuff. And we're service-based. We know that we're service-based. What do we do, or how do we serve? How is HERA served?
We do workshops.
Workshops, okay. What? Yeah, okay, yeah. We help women become entrepreneurs. Yeah, that's the service that we do. So now that we know we're service and we know that we want to help women become entrepreneurs, why would we want to share it with others? Why would we want to use social media to tell people about it?
So that the people that need you can find you, and so that the people that want to support you can find you.
Beautiful. So that's what. So now we know that. So that's exactly what you said. So people who need us can find us, and the people who want to support can find us. So who would be our ideal person to support us, and who would be our ideal person to use us to benefit?
Someone rich would be nice.
Someone rich would be great. so we're gonna have to think about how do we market towards rich people, and then we have to think about how do we market to how do we make people who need this find it also, right? Huh? Yes, other charities as well. That's a huge way of how we can bring up people. What is the best way in using this model? What is the best way to communicate our service and product to, say, rich people? How would we?
Through contacting organizations, like companies and things.
Okay. And so, what do you think? Knowing that we would want to communicate to companies, how do we? Which one of these do you think would probably fit well in terms of how do we connect to companies, or how do we? I'm sorry. Twitter, website. Okay, yes, the website is key for sure. That's standard. We already know that because it's key. Website, of course. But using the social media tools. Twitter is a good one because every corporate is on Twitter. You can follow them. But will they? Is there a personal touch there?
No.
Not really, right? Huh? WordPress is one way. We talk about what we're doing. Hope that they find us. Maybe share it on our Twitter so that they can see what we're doing. But again, do we get personal connections?
No.
Okay. Facebook is another way for them to find us. Yeah. But it's really hard. We have our Facebook page, but I can't add corporations. I can only hope that they find us on Facebook, right? Website is how they would find us, but our website can't reach out to them. We want to reach out to corporations for contact. We want to reach out to the rich people who work at these corporations.
Emails.
LinkedIn. LinkedIn, yeah. I think LinkedIn would be the best one. So you can put an organization on LinkedIn, and you can follow individuals who work at corporations. You can not follow. It's not even follow because there's a difference between follow and connecting. Connecting sounds mutual. It's like, hey, it's us meeting together and hopefully we both benefit each other. Whereas following is, I want to follow you, you seem cool. Most chances you don't really want to follow me. You're the leader, you know? So LinkedIn puts you both on an equal platform when you're connecting with them. And yes, there's a great demographic of working individuals who have income who may be able to support. That's one way. So let's say we want to find more women who may benefit from this program. How would we reach out to them? You guys are those women, right?
Yeah.
What's the best way to reach out to you if you didn't know about us? Huh? But who do we know? With other organizations. Okay, yeah. So that's more offline then, right? Okay. Is there any way social media-wise that you think that?
Not for our
Website.
I think website, you just,
Yeah.
Depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And if you have one.
Yeah. Okay. So then you guys kind of have to find us, right?
So the thing is,
so
unless you know,
yeah.
it wouldn't necessarily be something that I would have looked for because I wouldn't know.
So if I say, depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask, like, can individuals, like, apply to do this work or do you have to do it?
No, individuals can. It's just we haven't found a way to reach them. Yeah.
So that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think there is a way. I'm thinking of it in my mind, but I'm wondering. Yeah, go ahead. This is a deep. Yeah, thinking. Yeah, go ahead.
I think
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
also the social care
Yeah.
or someone that is a single mom,
Yeah.
because they'll have to they will be able to talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. We're gonna pass it after this. That's beautiful. You're right. But I think more offline. Yeah.
And what is charity
there's women in Australia. And I was wondering if you can tell them about.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, please tell everybody. We need as much help as we can given that we're out there. We want to get more people to, I feel a lot more people to benefit. There's look at all these empty seats that could have been filled, you know? But it's hard to find, and we know that there's a lot of women out there that need our help, but it's really hard to reach out. But I think you're right. I think offline is a better way to do it, so we have to do more on the field. But I think another way to be creative about it, and if you come across this, let's say your business is serving more of an offline demographic, there are creative ways to get it, not just having to go offline, but think about that kind of person, that you want to reach that you know is not really, it's not going to be online showcasing whatever that they're looking for. What kind of things will they look for online? What kind of things will they be searching for online? What are they looking at resources online? Is there an online community that they might be a part of? Those are things that we as who are looking to serve this demographic should also be involved in, right? Is there meetup groups or support groups that talk online? Is there blog, like emotional support help things, or even business groups? If you're looking to start a business, like what are those resources that maybe have the community online that we could also join? Did you guys say, did anybody join any online communities, or did they like anything on Twitter that was related to entrepreneurship or Facebook?
Most of us didn't even think we had the option until we were approached.
Really? Yeah. Okay. So another good way I think also is a lot of times, and this is what I do for Twitter, I'll look at all other charities or organizations that have a whole bunch of followers, especially for us starting out, and I'll see who's following them. And I'll follow them and I'll ask them, hey, if you want to add us, we do the same kind of work. But that's also a good way. You see who your competitors are and who's already following them. And of course, you're not going to be copying them or doing the same kind of work, but they might be also interested in what you're doing as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, now that we know that to LinkedIn people, to reach people is communicate to them, let's say they connected with us. What information do we want to give them that will make them want to continue engaging with us further? The work that we do, yeah. Maybe
how you can be contacted, like more personally.
Yes, contact information. Yes, yeah, definitely. Maybe you can send them a message saying, hey, thanks for following us or for connecting with us. Here's what we do. We invite you to look at our website, check us out, what do you think. If you feel really comfortable, say, would you like to meet for coffee and talk about it. And also, of course, you don't want to continue, like, do you notice that a good way to also ask people to do something for you, because charities kind of have a reputation of always asking for money, but never giving. Or we're giving, but we're not giving to people who aren't giving us the money, right? So kind of people kind of get, I already donated, it kind of had that earth feeling. Maybe you can give them something as well. It doesn't have to be the service that you're doing, but say, hey, for example, here's some articles. I saw that on your website that you're interested in these types of topics. Here's what I saw on this topic. Share it with them. Or I really thought what you've done in this work of field, like for example on LinkedIn, I could see President Barack Obama did something in Chicago. Hey, I saw that you're in Chicago. That's great. I love that city. Do you have any advice about that place, or is there? Did you try this restaurant when you're out there? It's a really good restaurant. You know, you have to engage them personally, get to know them, and cater to what their interest is, what their likes is, and just start a discussion on them. That's always a good way. People get flattered, your ego's boosted. Oh, haha, yeah, like you get to talk about something you like. That's another good tactic, right? To engage in somebody that you don't know, it could potentially be your consumer or supplier.
Some of us were brought up being told to not talk to strangers.
Well, if you're online, it's safe. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's false. So don't take my word for that. But when you're on something like a LinkedIn, where you have their credentials right there, it's a little bit more credible. But yeah, like don't definitely if they say, "Oh, meet me at my place," don't. Like, you know? But you have the safety of being behind the screen. Oh yeah, I should. So it's kind of weird. But the last month-ish or so, I've been getting these emails through my Gmail, to my Gmail, saying, hey, they headlined it Washington semester. I did a Washington semester program in DC. And so, hey, Washington semester, we have this travel agency that is looking for an American representative to work with us. Here are some documents. Please fill it out. We want to hire you. And I'm broke. I love to travel, definitely from the U.S. And I did Washington semester. So I'm like, oh, they must know me on some level. But they didn't say my name. And it's weird that they really want to hire me. Like, they don't even know what I'm about. They didn't say they saw my LinkedIn. They didn't say how they knew me. So I'm like, that's weird. So like, they had sent me 4 emails before, but it had been sent spam. And they were like, oh, did you see? They was like, yeah, I think it went to your spam. And I looked and I was like, yeah, there was 4 different emails that they sent me in the past 3 weeks that I never saw. I'm like, they really, really want me. Like, they don't, but they haven't used my name once. And so I thought that was really weird. So I responded. I was like, half of it. The only reason I even responded was because I love traveling. They know how to get you. They know how to get your interest. I don't know how they found out that different stuff about me, but they weren't able to find out my name, which is weird. I responded. I said, hey, I was like, this seems like a really cool opportunity. Can you verify who you work with and how you found me? And they responded, hey, we got you. Thanks, great. Like, here's the information. Please send this up to our day. It's urgent. We're going to give the position away to somebody else. If you don't respond, by the way, here's the information. Please get back to us. We really want you in the position. Okay. That's not what I asked. My question. So I didn't respond. I was like, okay, this is definitely, this is off. And then they sent another one, like, hey, did you get our message today? We sent it to you, blah, blah. And I got like 5 different emails after that, like all saying the same thing, but again, never using my information, never using my name. I didn't give them my name when I responded. I just put, thanks, that's it. Nothing. So anyways, I left that alone, but I think that was an attempt. I don't know what would have happened if I filled out the forms. It didn't ask for personal information up front, but I've heard of sometimes people will strategically say, like, make it seem like it's all innocent up front. They'll ask for information, but they won't ask for social security. So you think, oh, okay. Oh, well, they didn't ask for my social security or whatever, so it must be okay. You give them your, and then they'll give them your information. They'll tell you more stuff that makes you even more interested in what they're doing because it's catering to exactly what you want. And then they'll ask you for the private information. And then you're thinking, well, I went this far, it might be okay. And who knows what would happen? I don't know. It definitely isn't legit. I think I'm still getting emails that I'm not responding to, but I keep reporting to Google, like, this looks like spam, this is phishing, which it has an option on your email. But just look out for that. Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, so basically, any information you have, make sure it educates, it entertains, and inspires. That's the best way to get engagement from the consumer. Like the woman said, she'd be a resource and not a salesperson. That's exactly what you want to do when you're looking for support. That's what HERA has to do. When you see our Twitter, we're not just saying, hey, donate here, donate. In fact, you wouldn't even see donate anywhere on our thing, I think. We'll just talk about the work that we're doing. We'll just talk about, hey, here's the work that we're doing. Here's this person who's interested in us. That's building our credibility using Imperial's name and using an Imperial professor. You look very legit. You show the classes. I don't know. You know, and showing the retweets to show our legitimacy as an organization. Business plans are very elaborate. If you have, we're giving, offering advice. So anybody who's looking for business will say, if you happen to, if you had known about Twitter to look for business and you hashtag business, you might have stumbled upon us this way. Let Invest Charity, like different articles that we post for our readers, just for somebody who is maybe interested in the topic of what we're serving. We're anti-trafficking, and we're entrepreneurial, so some motivational stuff, why consistency and key, some entrepreneurial skills, development. We post that stuff. And so that makes you want to like us. That makes you want to follow us because we're not harassing you for things. We're not asking you all the time. We're actually enhancing you. We're adding something positive to your life by being a resource in this area. Does that make sense? That's what you want to do and emulate, not just in your business, but whatever community you're supporting and even in yourself. When you're talking about yourself as an individual and you want to jump the company, what are you going to bring to the table? Here's all the stuff that I care about in line. I use my own Twitter account right now. So obviously I do, I do graphic design and stuff, so, and social media. So the topics that I post are going to be a little bit more personal, but they're going to be things that I'm also looking at that I think are really interesting. So, and this is my market. I want to work with charities. I want to work with young people. I want to work with entrepreneurs, and I want to work with women. So I'm going to post stuff that I think that are interesting to me as a young entrepreneur woman. That's just non-profit, and I think others would that would attract other people. So I'll put charity stuff. I'll put surprising important social media stats you need to know. I want to help people be efficient online. I want to help young entrepreneurs. So I want to be a resource for that in different ways. How to blog if you don't have the time. Different stuff. Chain of custody success. That's my way of being a resource to my potential consumers or supporters. And believe it or not, it usually works. I'll get people who stumbled upon my Twitter, they'll find me and they'll go to my website and they'll say, hey, I feel like I can trust you. You both seem to have the same mind. I'm a young entrepreneur. I need help with the website. Can you help me? That's how it's been able to help me getting something. So, but I'm just starting. I mean, of course, I like both that. So I'll post like some stuff, but it's still unprofessional. Whatever. But anyways, yeah. So we did that. We talked about, okay, so basically your social media strategy. We're going to give you an exercise right now where you're going to identify your market. You're going to do this for yourself. Identify your primary platforms that you feel like are going to be the best way to showcase what your product is. You're going to set goals for how many followers you want within 6 months or within 2 months or how much you want to grow. How many times you're going to schedule times to post, how many times a day you're going to post a tweet or retweet or something on your Facebook page. Also, just to think about, sometimes there's going to be times where you're not getting much engagement from people, or if you want to build, you want to get a lot of followers really fast, you can offer contests. I used to work for a design studio, and she would design cell phone covers. And what she would do is when she felt like, okay, things were getting very slow, she wants to build more followers, she'd put a free giveaway contest. She'd say, hey, anybody want this free cell phone? All you have to do is repost this image with her logo on it, which is basically getting advertising, and you'll be put into a bucket to be picked in the drawing for this free cell phone. And people would do it. People would repost. She got reposted 15 times in one day. And that helped her get new clients also, because somebody else would know about her from a different market. And of course, if it's too much, you always get help. You can always hire somebody to do something for you. If you know, especially students are the best. They're going to do it for the cheapest price. They need to get experience. You can hire freelancers online. There's this website called elance.com, which is beautiful. You basically outsource the work. Hire great freelancers. So you can hire freelancers from around the world. Basically say, I want a logo, put it out there, and I want it to be under $150. And millions of people, the freelancers that are desperate for jobs, are going to apply to you. They're going to say, hey, I can do your logo for less than $150. Blah blah blah. And you get to choose. They all have a page that shows their credentials and has testimonials of other people who use it. Choose them, and that's how you can also get things done for you at a good price. Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
For someone like me, I have trouble answering my phone.
Yeah.
So so getting Twitter and in LinkedIn and this and that and updating and so on when I can't even get back on a WhatsApp for a week seems a lot. So how do I get the most out of it with my not so proactive self in terms of the social media?
Yeah, so I would just say, okay, so I'm going to give you guys have a different packet. I think I'm going to let you guys do this for homework. Oh, it's almost 4. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry I talked to you. But, so we definitely don't have the time. But there's a packet you have that will be your homework site. But it's basically going to help you literally imagine the person that you want to be your client, the demographic that you want to target. And it's going to help you literally visualize what that person thinks, what that person wants to do, how they follow, what they follow, and then that will be That will give you such clarity of how to market yourself and what things to post, what information to give to them, and how to market yourself. Once you build that out, you're gonna have anytime somebody says, "Do you want to put a website together? I need the information for your business." You're gonna have it standard, right? Because that's gonna help you have all the wording for what you need. I would start slow. I would not obviously open a Twitter account and a LinkedIn and a Facebook all at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So depending, like, do you have an example of a business?
Yeah, we're looking to start a fashion business.
Okay, so looking to set a fashion business, Instagram is probably the best one, right? And you have a lot of clothes that you want to showcase. So just start on Instagram. Every time you deal with it, you're interacting with your clothes on a daily basis, right? Anytime you're doing something with your clothes, anytime you're doing something that's related to your fashion, again, this is the important information I want to give you. Anytime you're doing something with what you're supposed to sell, make sure you post that on a Twitter, post that on Instagram, just post on Instagram.
So like an online diary.
It's kind of like an online diary, yeah. Especially since you're kind of you're going to be a one man, like it's your business. It gives a personal touch to your clients. That's what's going to separate. That's why somebody's going to buy from you and not from Primark. Is because they can get a personal relationship from you. And so by like how Barack Obama was, posting pictures of his dog, but mostly of him doing his work, although whether it's once a day or whatever he's doing, he's posting a picture of that. That's how you build your customers. That's how you build your credibility, and that's how somebody feels closer to you. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know who your audience is.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, definitely. That's a great way, yeah. So once you've identified your target audience, which you will do through that pamphlet, you're gonna get to know your target audience really well. After you do that, look for people who fit that demographic. Find somebody like that and say like, hey, I want to pick your brain. I'm offering this service. We want to go for coffee. Would this be interesting to you? How would you feel like the best way to discover this would be? And pick your brain on how test your product and service on them. Does that make sense? And make sure it really fits them. And it might not fit them. You might have the perfect person that exactly thinks the way they do on this, and they might say like, I wouldn't be interested in that. That's how you know your product wouldn't have done well if you targeted it to them. And you have to think about, okay, who does this fit for?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any more questions? Yeah. My side's really low.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is great. Oh, you guys also Maria Frulia, best person ever on YouTube.
Who is that?
Here we go.
We're planning to share the film that we got Wednesday. Tomorrow between 4 and 6. So our films are ready by tomorrow.
Hey, it's Marie Forleo, and welcome to Marie TV, the place to be to create a business and
Sorry. So, of course, not everybody can afford a business consultant. Use Google to your advantage. There's a lot of great people out there putting free information on how to enhance your business. It's how I was able to do stuff for mine. Marie Forleo is a really, really, really great resource for, she caters to young women entrepreneurs who want to start a business, and she answers all kinds of questions, like, should you put your real personality into your brand? Do you feel guilty about making money? She has a whole repertoire of any questions that most young entrepreneurs would think about. She addresses those in really fun videos. So I highly, highly recommend finding her on YouTube and following her, for sure. She's your best source.
Write it down then.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow is when we're going to start showing films, so I hope your film is done. If you need help, go at photos of the people who really know how to do it.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that. Between 4 and 6 tomorrow, we'll have the film showing, and again, we will be having prizes and judging the best films. And the other thing is, tomorrow is a long day, which I explained to everybody, because it's a week you're getting close. So please, that's how you want someday there will be a food. Please take that into account. If there's any reason you can't make it tomorrow night, you should tell Rebecca right away. That's really too bad.